Hello my crafty friends, Corrine here from Corrine Crafts. I hope you are well. I hope you've been doing some more lovely crafting. Well, I just wanted to make this simple card today. I'm going to show you how to make another way, different technique to use to make the background. I've made these lovely flowers that should, I think, have been sunflowers, but we've made them in such a way that they look slightly different. A little bit splats for background, a lovely swash style dye sentiment across there. Really lovely, not too much dimension, but really pretty. Change the colours, get lots of different effects. Oh, sorry, you can't see that. You're going to get lots of different ways. I've just put some glossy highlights in the centre. Those are going to dry opaque. You can see it starting to go there. But what a lovely pretty card. I'm going to show you how easy that is to make. I wanted to put this project together because I wanted to show you that sometimes you don't require lots and lots of products or do lots and lots of complicated things to actually put together really nice, really effective projects. So this one, again, I'm trying to keep things a little bit smaller than what we have done before. So this is a piece of 5x5 of watercolour card. And we're going to create an inky background. Now, you've seen me do lots of times where we smooshed our ink pads down and we picked them up, or we splattered it. Or recently I did my fall one where I used splat stamps to create a background. We're going to do another different background today. So what I'm going to do is I've got a Cello bag. If you create cards, you might probably have used these quite a few times before. And all I'm going to do is onto there, I'm going to put a few drops of watercolour ink. Now, if you haven't got watercolour ink, I like you to know you can use what you've got. Smoosh some ink pads onto here. That would work equally as well. Actually, I'm going to do this one a little bit different to the one I've prepped. I'm going to go, I've got some couple of different ones. I'm going to put a little drop of yellow on first. Let's go with that one first. And then I'm going to get my water spray. And I'm going to spray that onto there. Just nice and gentle. And then I'm just going to pick up one bit and pick up another bit. Right, so let me dry that and I'll be right back. Picked up the yellow. Now, it's actually picked up some of the pink because I hadn't cleaned the bag. Look at this. I've just tried to dry it with it still on the bag, and I've started to shake the bag, but it won't hurt. So then I'm going to come in with my pink and I'm going to do this. So I want pink to be the dominant colour, so I'm going to put just a little bit more ink than we had of the yellow. Put the lid on because I am the clumsiest going, and then I'm just going to spray that. And because it's a concentrate, you do get a bit stronger colour than if you do it with your ink pads, but it can still be achieved with the ink pads. You just need to go in with the ink, and then all I'm going to do is pick up a few bits to swish, and I'm going to sort that. Oh, I'm not going to, let me put that back on there for a minute till I've sorted it a little bit more. So then I'm just going to pick up, I'm just going to dilute it down a bit. It's gone a little bit more intense than I wanted, but yeah, you see, you can do. Right, I will sort that bag out. I'll just clean it all up in a few minutes, but that's fine. So you can see now I've got the two colours, with the pink being my dominant colour, which is what I was trying to achieve. Let's try that. There we go. Now you'll see it's flattened quite a lot out. The other thing you can do is just put a stamping platform, a stamp block over the top and just weight it down for a bit. But you find the more it dries out, the flatter it gets. Isn't that absolutely lovely? Now I could go around the edge, and I didn't think about doing this. No, I'm not going to do that for now. I'm going to leave it as it is. You could go around the edge with a faux border or what have you. So I'm going to do two colours in this. It's going to be, well, it's going to be three now because I've just added yellow like I didn't in my practice one. I'm going to do pink and yellow with a little bit of black, and you'll see why I've got the black in a minute, because that's going to help with our background. So this is my Sticks to fabric spray paint. You can spray it. I get too much out. Now the other thing you can do is take the lid off and splat it straight onto the card. I find then it takes a long time to dry. It's a fabric paint. So all I've done, as you can see, is I've just put a couple of little drops into my palette, spritz it with a little bit of water so it dilutes it down. I'm going to then get my paintbrush. Let's make sure my paintbrush has still got silver paint on it from a previous project. Right, paintbrush is clean. Pick up the black. Just get something to do. Oh, this one's control. Oh, I like this one. Oh, I've even glued my I've put the adhesive on the back of my test one. I like this one better. I've got this so much more under control. Right, I'm going to leave it at that. All I would say is, if you're going to do that, wherever you put your fabric paint, clean it off straight away. It's fabric paint. it'll dry really well. I'm just going to give this a quick blast and then we'll get on to the next layer. We are going to move on to the next bit, but I just wanted to show you the great thing about using things like your fabric paint is you get a little bit more dimension. It doesn't feel quite as flat. It feels like it's got a little bit more dimension. So that is my background. So we've got the yellow watercolour ink, the pink watercolour ink, and then the fabric paint just splattered over the top. So again, you could be putting something on the top of that to weight it down. I'm just going to pop that to one corner. So the next thing I'm going to do is we're going to do a little bit of stamping. So stamping mat. And you remember I said that card was 5 by 5. So when I did that, it left me with a little piece of card left over. So I'm going to use some stamps that, if I'm truthful, these I've had for years and years and years. If you look at the set, for the Tattered Lace set, you'll see it's really quite old. And I actually opened or unpackaged it to do this project. So it is the Tattered Lace Russet Wreath A4 stamp set. Look at that. Look at how many stamps you have got. You'll be able to, build a beautiful wreath with this. Love some of these leaves. I'm going to be using it a little bit differently. I'm going to be using this flower. Now they are officially, I think, sunflowers. We're not going to use them as sunflowers today. We're just going to use them as really pretty flowers, and that's what I love about crafting. You make it how you want. So I'm going to use this one now. I've already got that one and the leaf. So I'm just going to put them both onto my rocker block, and I can do them both together. It's fine. And then I'm going to get some waterproof ink, and I'm going to make sure it's stamped all over because I'm using a rocker block, not a stamping platform. I have faith in myself. I can do this. Right. I always get a little bit nervous when I'm using things like this. So I'm going to take that. I'm going to pop this over the top. And then I'm just going to rock. Make sure it's pressed down. Look at that. Perfect print every time. Then the thing to do is to get your scissors and just cut them out. I usually cut them in half. And then I would just cut it out with a slight border all the way around. So you just come round like that, really, really easily. Okay, so I've got one that I've already stamped and cut out. It's there. That's one of the smaller ones. So isn't that lovely? So you can see that's the larger one and this is the smaller one. And then I'm just going to get some watercolour ink. Now it's entirely up to you how you get them. You could be using your concentrate like I've used on the background, or you could be using your pens, you could be using your ink pads, you could be using a watercolour palette. It's entirely up to you. Please use what you have got. So I've got my craft mat. I'm going to use that as my palette. Nothing very straightforward, and I'm just going to paint with the pen straight on to there, but I'm just going to lay a bit of the yellow down for later. Then I'm going to come in with my magenta and I'm going to pop some onto here. I'm going to pick up my brush, and you can see I've got some water here, and I'm going to do this just with a wipe at the moment, or you could be doing it with a piece of kitchen roll. It really doesn't matter. I'm going to pick up a little bit of ink. You can see, depending on how much water you use, depends on how strong it is. So this is like a bit more concentrated here because there's less water. That's got a bit more water. So let's use that. And I'm going to paint over the leaves petals that would appear to be on the front. So if you look, that one's at the front, that one's definitely at the back. This one's a front one. Now, as is this one. There's an odd number on this one, and so is this one here. And again, I love painting with watercolour because it's so much more forgiving, and it's so much easier to get stunning results if you are a newbie compared to your alcohol pens. Love my alcohol pens, wouldn't be without them now, but they do take a little bit more work. So I'm just going to dilute this down a little bit more, and then I'm going here. Now, the one thing I would probably say is when you're doing watercolours, it does tend to dry a little bit paler than what you first think. So I often have to go in with a little bit more colour afterwards. So keep cleaning my brush. Then I'm going to come in with my purple. Pop that onto there. I never think of that as purple. They call it purple. You see, that to me is purple. That's called heather. but this one apparently is purple. It doesn't look like purple to me. It's just the colour I wanted. I looked at the nibs rather than, or the ink barrels, rather than the names. Just take a little bit of water, and I'm going to do those on the back ones. So just, again, remember this ink will dry slightly different once it's dry. It will look slightly different once it's dry. So there we go. Yeah, and I hope you like this. It's just something a little bit different. Again, trying to add not too much dimension, trying not to make it too big so that, you know, it works for your postage. And it's, you know, introducing maybe a few different techniques. So I'm coming down here with a lighter colour, and you'll see at this, oops, that one's there. At this moment in time, I'm not going all the way down to the very centre, and you'll see why in a minute. You see, there we go. Then you can sometimes colour straight onto your card if you want to. This one is doing it. One of my other ones wasn't earlier, and that will lay down the colour much more intensely. You can follow the lines. Remember that somebody has gone to a lot of trouble to give you all the lines for the dimension. You see, once you sort of put that on there, you can really see how much it fades out, it bleaches out. But I do like to get the ends of them quite intense in colour. Now you'll see this was, 2 minutes ago, this was a sunflower. To me, it doesn't look very sunflower-esque anymore. I don't know what it does look like, but it's not reminding me of a sunflower as much anymore. Going in again with a little bit of the magenta, just to add that extra colour around the tips, because like I say, remember, it will bleach out or just fades as it dries, and I don't want it to be too faded. Just blending that so that you don't get that harsh line. And like I said, remember, you can do so much more with your watercolours than you can with your alcohol pen. So once I've got that where I'm happy, I'm going to get this yellow. Remember, I put this yellow on the mat ages ago. I'm going to get the yellow, and I'm just going to blend it out around the bottom of those colours. So I'm just trying to make it go from those colours. It just sort of brightens it and lifts it. So you can't really see where the yellow starts, where the yellow finishes, but it just adds that extra dimension to it completely. There we go. And that is all I would do. Isn't that simple? And that's my palette clean. That was easy, wasn't it? So that's all I would be doing. Now, well, all I'd be doing, one other thing. Now, this was a stamp designed to be creating a collage or a scene. It wasn't designed to be stamped and cut out to create 3D flowers. So the petals haven't been designed in such a way that you can cut down, because they would it would fall apart. So all I'm doing, I'm just picked one side and I'm just cutting down one side of one of the petals at like every alternate apart from there when it does 3, because there's 3 sit together. So every alternate one I've just cut a little bit just so that I can lift it. You can't, it's very hard to shape a flat solid flower. So that would need to dry a little bit. You could shape that and it'd probably be quite good because it's got some dampness in it. But I find that at first you could end up ripping your card stock. So what I'm going to be doing is I've got a foam mat. Let's move those out of the way as well. I've got a foam mat and I've got a ball tool here. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to go on here and I'm just going to add a little bit of dimension, and I can add a lot more dimension because I've just put those little bits of cut into the cardstock, and it also will shape more because I've applied water to it. I know it's dry now, but it still has had an impact on the fibres. The fact that water has been applied just makes it more pliable. You think strange because it's dry, but yeah, can you see how that now is shaping up a lot better than it would have done if I'd have left it flat. I'm not trying to get too much dimension. This isn't about dimension with this card. This card is all about the beautiful colours, but yeah, I just thought we could add a little. I struggle with totally flat designs. It's just a personal preference. You do it how you want to do it. There we go. And then There we are. So I've got my 3 flowers. I might add something to the centres of the flowers, but I've learnt my lesson. I now do it when they are fixed. And I've also done the leaves exactly the same, used my watercolour pens and just created that. So I think we need to go back to here. So I just want to show you, this was my original one, which I really loved until I've just done this one, and I really like this one even more, so we're going to use this one. So I've got a piece, so I said this was 5 by 5, so I've just gone 5 and an 1/8, and we're just going to put that. So I need to put my tape on, because the tape was on the other one, not on this one, and I'm going to pop it on. Now I use sticks to red liner tape when I'm applying something like this that has been watercoloured, where I've added a lot of water, because it can buckle and cockle and be all bent and out of shape. If I add my red liner tape nice and tight, but not too tight, then pulling it out, distorting it, but if it's nice and tight, what it'll do is, red liner tape is so strong that when it touches the card, it will stick. So this means that I know my project is going to lie down flat. Now, if I was using finger lift or tissue tape, I'd just take off the corners. I find it a little bit harder with red liner. I just find it easier to take the whole thing off. You have to apply. Oh, I've not pressed that one down hard enough. It's just lifting. And the other thing is, with, like you just saw there, with red liner tape, if you haven't burnished it down, it doesn't always stick. So as long as you just burnish it down, make sure it's sticking, you're absolutely fine. So take that off, straight in the bin with that. I'm going to get a little bit of my tacky glue in the centre, just around there. I've got my red liner at the edges. I'm just using tacky glue in the centre, and I've got this piece of black card, and I'm just going to pop that onto there, just making sure it's nice and square and centered, because like I say, once the red liner sticks, it sticks. There we go. Like I said, wet glue in the middle, red liner. So that now is flat. Can you see how flat it's gone? Because that red liner isn't going to let it go anywhere. I'm not going to do lots and lots of layers. I'm just going to go straight in now with that onto there. But I couldn't quite do it completely flat. So red liner tape again. Not red liner tape again, foam tape again, sticks to roll again, one on the back. Now I've got to decide which way up I want this piece of card. Oh, I tell you what, I need to do something before I stick it down. I usually just, that's a bit big. Let's go one there, one there. Usually, there we go, the spare piece. Okay, before I stick that down, I have taken they're like swash dies. They go, the words come off the edge. I was going to do a happy birthday. I took it out of the pack, I put it down, couldn't find it. So I've cut out birthday wishes. So you'll see on these, they are just long single dies. Happy birthday is there now. I put it down on something on the windowsill. So I've just cut those out of black card. So I have got that now, birthday wishes. I think I like that with, no, I don't want the yellow up there. I'm going to take that way round. Or do I want that way round? That's going to hide all my yellow. Could I do it that way? Yes, right, I'm going to go that way. So I'm going to pop my birthday wishes onto here, and I'm doing it before I stick it down because I want to be able to trim it. So I think I definitely need my precision glue gun or your dotty tape pen. The only thing with doing it with your dotty tape pen is it can distort. You can rip it around a little bit too much when you try to go over the back. So I find that whilst dotty tape pens are good, for something like this, it's got lots of, I've got too much glue there, that's got lots of fiddly little twiddly bits. The number of times I've twisted it and ripped it and yeah, just distorted it. So let's take that and we'll go. Once this is on, that's my decision made. So there we go. And again, I just cut this out of a little scrap left over from cutting the background. Now you can see I should have tapped off the excess glue, which I didn't, but I'm not too concerned because it's just a wet glue that as soon as I tap it, it disappears, but everything's tapped down nice and tightly. So before I go any further, I'm just going to get some really fine scissors I should have even done it before it went onto there. And I'm just going to trim, oops, there. One. And I'm going to trim there, just like that. So it comes across the card and off the other end. That now can go on to my card base. Sometimes you just have to think. So for once my tape is going up and down the card, but that's absolutely fine. I have no problem with that. And I'm going to get my tacky glue and I'm just going to put a bit of, you've seen me do this so many times, bit of glue on the back before I put it onto my card base. Card base. Now, I've just used a pre-bought 6-inch card base with no trimming. Unheard of. Never happens. Never, ever, ever happens. But it has today. So there we go. So that's where we're at. So the only things I need now are my flowers. And I'm going to do this with my 3D glue gel. So I'm going to pop this onto here. I'm going to put a bit onto the back there. I'm going to pop that onto the corner. This is a really simple card. I'm going to pop a couple like that. Now, like I say, if you wanted to, you could have put a frame round, but I've not on this version. I'm going to take that just to there. Then I'm going to take that one just to there. I'm going to grab my leaves, my foliage, because even though I'm doing something quite modern, quite, artistic-y style, I still want my foliage to make it look right. If you don't want your foliage, don't put it in. I have this thing about foliage. I like foliage on all my projects. There we go. Things just keep moving, don't they? Because you've used a 3D glue gel, which I absolutely love. So all I want to do now, I know I've put my splats on, and but what I'm going to do is I've got my tiniest little black pearls. So, pearls, gems, what are they? I don't know. I'm going to pop a few of these. So I've got the paint that's nice and flat, and I've got the gems that are adding a little bit of dimension. And the only last thing I would do, and this is really personal choice, is I've got my glossy highlight. Again, they're one of those things, glossy highlights is one of those things that needs to dry, and when it's dry you actually see it. It's opaque at the moment, but it'll go completely clear and add a lovely clear gem effect in the centre. So I'm just popping that on here, and then it'll self-level as well. I'll put that on there. You could even add a bit of glitter onto the glossy highlights if that's what you wanted. See, that one's coming out a bit better. Swirl that round and see if those dry off. There we go. It's a 3D compound, so it's just like a clear enamel, I think is the best way. Yeah, Corrine, you need to really get some new glossy highlights. I just need somebody to sponsor me for all my crafting, don't I? That's what it is. That's what it is. I just need a nice sponsor. That would be nice, wouldn't it? There we go. And then we can put that. So that'll dry lovely. And you know what? That is my finished card. Absolutely gorgeous. I'll take a photo once those are dry so you'll be able to see them. And that is my card for today. I'm just going to pop that there because I can see some glue. I hope you like that. Nice and simple. A little bit of a different technique using a cello bag to create the background. And then, some lovely sunflowers. I hope you like that. I really enjoyed making that. And don't forget, as always, I always say, please click on the links below. It really does help me. And I'll be back very, very soon with some more crafty ideas. But until then, my friends, please enjoy your crafting. Don't forget to share your makes and just enjoy your happy time. Bye for now.